we were 91. I think he was like 5. Sometimes not. And in that way, Ida was so lucky. Of all of you, I know you didn't all get to see her that often. Some of you did, but she knew you were there. You called. Wow. It tells us a lot. I can only just say that that's her eulogy. That all of you are here. It's very beautiful. And the one question I didn't ask, I know she identified as Jewish. How did you go to a synagogue ever or no? What? Marginally. So the Garment district was facing east because her synagogue.
She did go to the yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
And she would go to the at Courtney High School to the high holiday services.
Well, I'm one of the most open-minded rabbis there are. My Reform synagogue is probably the most open in the world. Really. And we have non-Jewish members, even though we're a mainstream Reform congregation. So the fact that all of you are coming from different backgrounds, I just assumed your mother, by the name Ruth, in the Garmento was Jewish.
Might as well.
Yeah. I guess Harriet is the resident Jewish citizen here.
And historian.
This is something I read on holidays. I know you struggled with the words in the last few years as Ida was struggling and not always wanting to live. And I think she didn't like being bored. That's really what I thought when you talked to me about her. Such an active person. I think one of you wrote that she was just a doer, or maybe that was one of you guys wrote how much of a doer, and that's what I imagined about her. The days will run together in stream of years. And I asked myself and you, which of our visions will claim us? Which will we claim? How will we go on living? What will be? What say to one another? There was a rabbi I knew, and he said it like this: when you love, give it everything you've got. And when you reach your limit, give it more. Because as you come to the end of your days, it'll be the love that you've given and received that will matter. And if you haven't loved well, no matter what time, that's probably too soon. It'd be too difficult. That's difficult for her. There was a lot of love. So many people, they don't have children, they can't have children, or they regret. And Saul and Ida made the best of it. Look at all the children they adopted. And my God, your mother almost like a child that much younger than her. And you, two of you, and you knew her. What did you think of her? What was that? Something that comes to mind when you thought of Ida? She was really, it's amazing. You guys are so young, and even to her old age, she had the grace of love. I'd expect that for you, but look at these young kids. How old are you guys? Wow. It's very mature. It's good. Your Grandma Lane did good too, huh? Amazing. Just amazing. Don't take this in. Very rare. very rare for a person without children to have so many people at 91, 92 almost, at her funeral. These are words from a Jewish and Christian funeral service. They often songs. Adonai ma'adam v'teda ehu, ben anosh v'techashvehu, Adam le'evel dama yamav katzel over, v'boker yatzitz v'chalaf, le'erev yimoleo v'yavesh. Eternal One, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath, our days a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. And that's my best lesson for the two of you. You're 15 and 18. Know that life can be incredibly short. Or even if it's 90 years, it can feel short. And the years come fast. So seize the day, as that saying goes. If Nike says do it, do it. And make sure to call your mother every day. You've caused us to revert to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood where we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Poda'anai nefesh avdav, the lo yesnu kol hachosim bo. Mark the wholehearted, and behold the ones who did goodness. They shall peace. Why don't we begin with what the beautiful woman is. Come up front, Julie.
2 lines, but for those that didn't know my profession, I did not the easiest to get, and a lot of times with it. So, lessons were too. I don't Emily and friends, we are all saddened by the passing of Marilyn's husband and his gone on before. Marriage can have a truth, more love, goodbye.
Even her family and friends knew her a little bit.
Yeah, she wasn't, she used to like to have a cocktail. She wasn't drinking at all because of her medication. She was
I was thinking about that question. I'll come back to it. Guys, do you want to share some words? Yeah. I wanted you to read that 70th birthday letter at the end, toward the end. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
As far back
Come up front so they'll hear you.
As far back as I can remember, anytime you mentioned Ida, it was never just Ida, it was Ida the song. They were always the two most fashionable people that I knew. And my grandmother used to always say that they were such snappy dressers. I remember when I would play golf with Saul, he would have his white patent leather belt and white pants and white shoes. And he would always say, I had dressed him. So I also remember that when we had played golf with him, he was always, he always had a pencil out, he was always doing notes. I didn't know he was working on the scorecard, we didn't know what he was doing, but when we played, Ryan, I played with him in the later years in Las Vegas, and he was skipping holes, and he was always playing ponies. He loved the ponies, as did Ida, and Ruth. They really loved going to the track together. I also remember, back at Tammy Brook Country Club, Ida had got me one of my first jobs before Concord, and I was parking cars. She got me a job parking cars there at the country club, and actually my wife Andrea was there that same summer. She was inside, and we couldn't talk to the dining room people if we were the car parkers, so we weren't allowed inside, but Ida had gotten me that job, I remember. I also remember when we were young, Tammy and I were young, we would go to Las Vegas with Ida and Sal and my father and my mother when they're still together. And we went to so many memorable shows. We saw Elvis Presley and Ruth and Ida both wore white denim outfits and red scarves and studs, the same outfits that Elvis wore. And I actually met Elvis that year. I rode up in the elevator with him at the Las Vegas Hilton, where we spent again a lot of summers. We saw I remember Don Rickles. We stayed up all night with Ida and Ruth and went to the Jerry Lewis Telethon, Stephen Eady Gourmet, anyone and everyone, all the shows, all the headliners. I think we saw Wayne Newton too much. That was somebody saw all the time. I remember also sitting with Ida by the pool and Bill Cosby and played golf with Saul there. We played behind Joe DiMaggio. And I remember when we used to go to Riverdale, where Ida lived, and she would always point out that she said, Willie Whit Mays lives in that building next door to me. So a lot of young memories. I really would like to remember Ida in the early days as opposed to the later days, because she really had a tough time after Saul and really after her knee surgery. When my parents separated, Ida and Saul both took my mother under their wing. I remember Ida offered to help us with college if we needed it financially, and they were really great. Until the last couple months, I would say I spoke to Ida, a couple times a week, but I really, again, I would like to remember her prior to that knee surgery, because that was really when she was the real Ida. I guess when my mom was still alive, she lived in England Cliffs, and she'd gotten ill, and when she was in the hospital, we ended up getting her an apartment in the Colony as well. When she got out of the hospital, she didn't want to move into her apartment. She felt lonely. She didn't feel comfortable. So Ida said, why don't you come in and move in with me? And she actually moved in to Ida's apartment. And she said she'd stay there for a little while, which ended up being like a year and a half. And, if you've been in, Ida has a one bedroom. She slept in the same bed with Ida, my mother. And Ida took care of her more than a sister or a family member would. They were really two peas in a pod. And would always introduce me as her nephew. I was very proud to be your nephew as well.
So sweet.
Sal's nephew both sent me something to read. So first I'll read from Marvin and Michelle, and then Jeff and Sharon. So this is from Marvin and Michelle first. Ida was a beautiful person inside and out. We know because we were there at her wedding. Throughout their marriage, Sal always referred to her as his bride. I remember her boutique with Sylvia, and she would invite us to pick a bit of jewelry of my choosing. We stayed with them in both at their condo and enjoyed spending time with them whenever we could. They joined us in San Francisco and Lake Tahoe. They were at our kids' bar and bat mitzvahs and weddings. Ida joined us on a lovely New England cruise many years ago, just as her health faltered. She was thrilled to meet us in Seattle for the birth of our grandson, named Simon, after Saul. Unfortunately, our communication and gathering was, over the past few years, hindered by illness and distance, but we were always so grateful for Ida's friends and their kids, all of whom were more than family to her. We fondly remember Sylvia, Elaine, and Ruthie, who are her best friends, are in awe of their remarkable children, Di, Tammy, Lauren, and Mark, and their spouses who kept vigil on her for so many years. We are sorry that we can't be present today, but we will always have her in our hearts. May her memory be a blessing. Rest in peace, Ida. After a life well lived, love Marvin and Michelle. Can you guys hear?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, good. All right, good. So next is Jeff and Sharon, who are on the camera, FaceTiming with us. Oh, the rabbi's asking, do you want to read this?
I
We
don't,
can hear you. I have a speakerphone here, or would you rather I do it?
I think it'd be better if you do it. I might not be able to get through it.
Okay, good. No problem. Thank you. Okay. From Jeff and Sharon. I first met Ida when I was a teenager and she was dating our Uncle Sal. We all instantly adored her. I remember my mother saying that Sal should marry her right away as she was such a wonderful woman. Mom was so right. It took a while, 15 years, but Ida persevered and they married. We were all ecstatic. Initially, we'd go over to see Sal and Ida in their apartment in Riverdale and later Fort Lee, New Jersey. She never had children, so in a sense, we became her adopted children. We were so lucky. Ida was a go-getter. She had no interest in sitting around. She commuted to Manhattan daily to work in the garment industry. When we got together, it was usually to have dinner at a fabulous restaurant. Ida was always a delight to be with. She lit up the room. It seemed no matter where we went, everyone knew her. Ida and Sal were devoted to our family. We could always count on them to be there to celebrate every simcha with us, no matter which coast we were on. When our son settled in New York, Ida was there for the bridal shower, wedding, and baby shower. Over the last several years, her health began to decline. Whenever we were in New York, Sharon and I would visit her. I remember not too long ago going over to see her. By this time, getting out was difficult for her. So we sat in her living room and looked through albums filled with wonderful memories and discussed what was happening in her life. Sadly, soon after, she took a fall, and this eventually forced her to move to an assisted care facility. It was early in that transition that I was back in New York and made sure to visit her. I do not know it was going to be the last time I would see her. As I wheeled her to the dining room, she asked for a nice, quiet table. We talked and ate for about 2 hours. When I took her back to her apartment, I had a good feeling in my heart. I sensed she was going to try to work hard to improve despite all the medical and emotional issues she had been battling. I gave her a final kiss and left. Now she has left us, but in a sense, she'll never leave us. She has blessed us with a lifetime of wonderful memories. She was and always will remain my favorite aunt. Thank you, Ida, for being a part of our lives and for the love you shared with us. You are everything we could have hoped for in an aunt. We all love you, and you will always be in our hearts. I take comfort in the thought that you are once again with your beloved Sal. Love, Jeff and Sharon. Lovely, guys.
Thank you.
We're going to come to you, Kenny. Give me a moment, though. You know, this is also moving all the way back to their wedding and before your mother and grandmother, your mother's roots, Saul and you, Harriet, too. It's also moving. Even the fact that you, how many years younger than her? There's like 70 years, 75 years between you. I'm thinking there's this Jewish tradition of remembering the deceased on the anniversary of their deaths. And maybe all of you should Zoom for her and all your loved ones. You lost your mother too young, your father way gone when you were young. You lost your mom and dad. She held this together. And it's very rich. We lose this. As I get older as a rabbi, I think, what can I give people? What can I encourage them to do? And it's this family, because this world pulls us to so many things. And somehow, Ida and once knew that they could be fashionistas and family. Very beautiful. Am I catching who she is right now? Good. Good.
So Di talked about a number of the same memories that I have back in the early days, vacationing with Ida and Saul. And then in later years, as we became adults, we flew out and joined Ida and some of Ruth's friends and Saul in Las Vegas to celebrate one of Ruth's birthdays. I remember going to Sinatra's with her and Ruth. They were huge Frank Sinatra fans. Went to many of the concerts, and we went to the restaurant that housed all the memorabilia, and they were so thrilled taking pictures and just being there with the Sinatra vibe and the Sinatra music. In later years, we went to Paris with my mom for her 75th birthday, and Ida and Saul joined us, and it was a real adventure because first of all, my mother announced that she didn't like French food, and so we had to source Italian restaurants in Paris, and Ida and Saul were such great sports. We took the subway with them, we traveled with them, we looked all over Paris for this special shop that had these pins that Ida wanted that were only found in Bergdorf Goodman, and the manufacturer was in Paris, and we were on a constant search for them, and we actually put that pin on her yesterday, one last time. She was a sister to my mom, and they were truly partners in crime. They grew up together in the Garment Center. They made the best of the rough situation that was the politics there, and they formed this amazing bond that until my mom passed was really truly like a sister. They went to the track together, they spent Sundays together, they saw each other at work when my mom was selling women's clothing and Ida was a buyer, and Saul sold piece goods, so they were all connected through the industry, and they really had this tremendous bond together, and there's so many memories of them connected. Like Dyke mentioned, when Ruth stayed in her apartment, and when Ida was still working, and she would go to Ben's, the kosher deli in the Garment Center, where Ruth liked the soup, and she'd bring her a hot dog. I mean, I thought to myself, she's buying a hot dog in the middle of the day, and she's bringing it home at night wrapped up. And my mother was so thrilled with that. That was like a terrific dinner for her. And she took care of Ruth till the end. Ida and Saul took care of Ruth in those middle years. Wherever they went, whatever they did, she was part of it. And they were, the two of them together were just quite a pair. And we have wonderful memories with them over holidays and just occasions that Ida and Saul were always with us. One year, Brian's dad and our uncle and Saul were all going to be 80. And so we made a barbecue and a party at our house just for all of us. And we called it the 240th birthday celebration. And all of the elder gentlemen celebrated their 80th birthday. And when we were saying goodbye to everyone, we started giving out the balloons. And when I went to give them to Ida, she's like, no, we're okay. We don't want the balloons. And we realized it was because Saul always looked so young and so vital and so handsome. She didn't want all the friends and everyone in the building to know he was really 80 years old. And they had a real love story. And while they got married very late, they really had a wonderful life. 1 year for Ida's 70th birthday, there was a ladies' lunch that Elaine. I had made for her. And I'm going to read a poem that I wrote for her for that day, which I felt is still the essence of who she is. A toast to Ida in her 70th year. She's so very special to all of us here. She's someone with whom I can always depend, family to me, not just a friend. She consistently goes out of her way for you. No matter what, she always comes through. Doing favors for others is your way, that's the truth. And I'm so thankful that you take care of Ruth. During the early days in Riverdale, Show-Off was your store. The commute was easier, but car insurance claims galore. You finally moved to Jersey, an apartment in Fort Lee, but you had already paid for part of the GWB. Fashion's your game, and you always look great. If I need a good restaurant, you know which is first rate. You're up on the latest cutting-edge trend, a savvy reference on which we can always depend. You love to gamble, as we all know, betting the horses to win, place, or show. Blackjack and slots in Atlantic City, you're actively working on building the kitty. The lottery is your daily fix. Instance, Powerball, or just pick six. You have so many partners, it keeps my head spinning. Sometimes I wonder, is it even worth winning? Your Thursday night girls have become quite a group. You've shared many a story over your wonton soup. De-oriental your place till it finally closed. And now at Bill Holmes, you bear all of your woes. This poem would not be complete without a mention of Sol. You know all of us ladies think he's a doll. Compared to the others, you married late, but it's now clear to see he was well worth the wait. So on this snowy day, I hope to impart that you hold a distinctive place in my heart. You're such a good egg, as my Nana would say. It's my pleasure to celebrate your special day. So I'd like to join with all of the rest, and as always, I wish for you only the best. Good health and happy birthday too. I hope you know, Ida, how much we love you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm so honored to know your aunt. Born in 33. My mom was born in 33, and my dad came from the Bronx and my mother from Washington Heights. And they moved to Jersey, and in rabbinical school I worked in Englewood and Fort Lee, and I know all the stomping grounds, and I've been to that Ben's, and in the Carmen district, and my niece got engaged about 5 years ago. And I've been at the Concord and was thinking about Parksville and that hotel. I have pictures on my phone I want to show you. And the white shoes that my dad, who probably was Saul's age. How old's your dad? Would be your dad? Yeah, my dad. Yeah, 28, 23, so he's even older. But I can see the white shoes and all the places in Las Vegas that I've been to and Boca. And the colony. I worked in Englewood, and people were all their age, they're mostly gone. And I've been to the colony dozens of times. And 70th birthday luncheons for ladies, I would be the only gentleman to come as a rabbi and make the bread and say if you're going to get out, because it was a ladies' day. And so when I was driving here from Long Island today, I first saw the colony as I got over the bridge. Was it she or your mother thought it was a tenement?
My mother.
Your mother. Because it was
A
just
tenement.
one of the earlier buildings. So it doesn't look anything fancy on the outside till you get in, and they're really the large, beautiful apartments. And the terraces are wide and beautiful, beautiful. So maybe I should buy that apartment. Because I grew up here. And the places I'm sure I went to the same ones, not that she was kosher, but there was a kosher market here at Fort Lee, and get the specialties and the Grand Union and the ShopRite and Portly. I'm sure she was there. But really what made me think of her was as I was coming over the Whitestone Bridge, I could see where the Garment Center started just below the Empire State Building. You know how the buildings get much lower until you get to downtown. And I was thinking all the places she went to. I wondered if she and your mother, Elaine, and Sylvia went out for drinks, or should I say coffee? I don't want to offend.
Drinks.
And all of a sudden I said, what are the places that you went to for drinks around there? What were the Chinese restaurants for lunch? Harry's for lunch. Garment District, sure. And it must have been a dairy restaurant there, and there were Italian restaurants there for sure. It wasn't a French restaurant place, I'm sure your mother was. Right. You went there with her. And the Catskills. Wow. What a wonderful life until the last couple of years. Till she went to Rockley. What a wonderful and beautiful life. Living near most of you. Not you, but you came to New York. I could just think about it. We can almost see the colony from here if we went to the Hill. And Riverdale right after that, the Garment District. These were blessed people living in a very blessed time. Those were nice days. There was plenty of air, travel, but the world was still beautiful and a little easier. So please just think about how lucky you all were to know her. That your mother was a friend. What was her name? Carol.
It was Carol Warshall.
Carol and Ruth and Sylvia and Elaine and your mother, and you knew them all. What a nice bunch of wonderful people. And your mother probably knew her too. Yes? Yeah. What a wonderful life. Can you see it with me? I'm just picturing the whole thing. And I hope that's just giving you a bit of love and hope for who she was and what she is and what she gave to you. My God, to adopt so many. It's very beautiful.
She just always went out of her way for everyone when she were talking, I was talking at work with some of the ladies that I work with, and they knew that she had been ailing, and we mentioned that she had passed, and Lori, one of the ladies that's worked for us for many, many, many years, said to me, "Didn't Ida get me my bridesmaids dresses wholesale?" I mean,
Who is that worked for us?
this girl worked for our business, and she just, Ida just was that way. She would just help anyone and try and get it for you wholesale. She was just always up. She was just a.
She's here with all of you. When you came in that coat, I said.
That's what I said. That worked for her.
That was a coat that she would have wore or
No,
bought.
she sourced it for me.
Sourced it for you, and I think white shoes may come back.
I was
I was
there.
wondering about it.
I met Saul, and I remember, my mother, my grandmother.
How did they?
I think my aunt worked for Saul's company, and she kind of set them up. My aunt was like,
Do you know how they met? Saul and Ida, how did they meet?
and she set them up, and they would drive in the morning. Ida, I think, was the designated driver all the time, and they were cheering and waiting. And I was a little girl. I could have been more than 4 or 5 years old. When I went to college, I think my freshman or sophomore year of college, I was finally invited to the wedding.
It was a gorgeous one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, where was it?
Tammy, the country club. Yeah. But
That I didn't remember that.
I think
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
Mount
It was
Mount
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 Mount.
or Mount Tabby. I don't remember.
Where were they married?
Alpine, yeah.
That too I can picture. You had holidays there at Tammy Brook or Tamcrest. Sometimes I hear my synagogue was a wandering synagogue. We met in people's homes. We had our high holidays at Tamcrest, and then one closed, and we went to the other one.
Yes.
One became a golf course, and
Right, I remember that.
so maybe I bumped into her. Maybe she was at one of the houses, because I've been into Mediterranean Towers and the Colony and the buildings just north of Parker Street building, just north of the Colony.
She actually was there for a while too.
Yeah, those were nice. So maybe she was at one of the synagogue services with a friend of one of the people I knew. Very possible. Or in ShopRite, Fort Lee, or somewhere. And so I'm going to leave here happier that I kind of knew her. We all should be happy that we knew her. What was it like? Would go to their store? Were you old enough to get to your grandma's store? You weren't allowed yet.
I went to their store.
You went to their store? Sylvia and yeah. What was it like?
It was an upscale women's boutique.
In the Garment District or outside?
No, in Riverdale.
Riverdale.
And the kosher
Oh, I know what that is. There, sure. Up by there's a park. I'm sorry. I have my phone off, but these are still alarms. I apologize. They don't go off. If you turn your ringer off, the pillow alarms stay on. I have to remember that. What?
Johnson Avenue in Riverdale.
Johnson Avenue, sure.
And like 248? 2 doors away from
Yeah.
3135, I remember.
3135 Johnson.
Well,
the apartment.
it's hard to let go when it was so beautiful. It reminds us that we'll have to all let go. Here's something I want to read. And then we'll say the Kaddish is okay. We have 10 minutes. I keep this one on my phone. I like to read it. In assessing our condition, we are sometimes tempted to be dissatisfied. We might contrast our deficiency with somebody else's affluence. But our mind is set at peace when we remember that whatever we have is not in the final sense our making, nor our right. What did we bring into this world? We came devoid of everything. And everything that's been placed in our hands that we have and cherish has been a gift. Given by love, a real love. And in a real sense, there was nothing we could do to earn it except our openness and our gratitude. And when we become aware of this, we even have greater content. This is the hard part. The awareness of our blessings and of the source from which they come prepare us also for their surrender. For we know that the things we cherish cannot last forever. We cannot always be around to enjoy them. A final separation awaits every relationship, no matter how tender. And each of us someday will have to drop every object in our hands. And though these thoughts sadden us, we can bear them more readily when we remember that the measure of our loss, the measure of our privilege, every day of our life, these blessings are given to us anew. And if we're not in a lot of pain, too sick, we can really enjoy them. And so for the gift given us, and that's this gift of Ida, Saul, you, Harriet, you've been around to see all these people grow up, although you're not probably the oldest here, but you're the cousin, he's the old one. This we should tell the old time, right? But gifts of your mother and your grandmother and your mother. Every day of our life, our blessings are given to us anew. And when we shall be asked to surrender the gift, we should remember that we were richly blessed. And we shall say, and this rabbi here writes the beautiful words, Baruch atah Adonai, right? Some of you know those words, blessed be Adonai, the one, Yahweh, the God, the Holy One, Adonai. The God that privileged us to know this adventure of life. And I hear this adventure that your father and Aida had from Paris all the way to Seattle and all around it, from Riverdale to Fort Lee to Long Island to the everywhere. She had some hard times. She's the one that lost her mom young. Saul too young. Ruth and Sylvia and Elaine too young. But she did it. She did it. And she did it with all of you. And you're very, very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. Do you know her Hebrew name? Maybe Harriet? Itka and Devorah. Her mother was Deborah. Haika. And her, okay, Haika, right. And her father's name, was he involved in her life or just her mother?
Yeah.
What was his English name?
Sydney.
Sydney.
It might be on the grave.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's here.
With his cigars. Remember his cigars?
And her mother's name is,
He died, I guess, 90s.
was her? Dorothy. Okay, so her mother's name is Devorah.
That's what I thought.
Okay. And we'll show you a picture of your dad's stone right here that we moved. Very good. Uncle, I'm sorry, right here. So let me say the memorial. El Male Rachamim Shochein Bamumim. Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Ashkina. V'ma'alot Harachamim Barakia Mazirim Et Nishmat Haika Bat Simcha U'Devorah Shalcha L'Olama Ana Barachamim Yasti Reha V'Yester Kanafecha L'Olamim V'Titror V'Tor HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai V'Nachulata V'Tanur V'Shalom Al Nishkava V'Omar Amen.
Amen.
O Holy One, full of compassion, grant perfect rest in the shadow of your wisdom to the soul of Ida Pure, Chaika Bat Simcha Devorah, who has entered eternity. May her soul be bound up with the souls of those of eternal life. May God cradle her in his wing. Adonai is her portion, the Holy One. May she rest in peace.
Amen.
Let's do the Kaddish for her. You all know, this is those of you who have a Christian background, this is like the Lord's Prayer. It's some of the same words. The Lord's Prayer was originally King,
I guess he went.
I do that not to take away from it. We need to show that we all share this. That's my life. So, Right, so there are some of you, but you don't have to do like this. I don't want to start.
ויתקדש שמי רבי, אמן. וחירתי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביום חון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגולה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבי לעולם לעמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי תקודשו בריחו לעולם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עשה שלום במרמיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל.
So blessed, that's all that I can say. So you heard, she was so blessed. Without children, to have so many children. She and your dad, your home. It's shalom. When you're around.
I think he kicked the phone or something. I think he might have kicked the phone.
Google can help you. And we're going to put some dirt on the grave as we ask you first. None of that is the right or wrong way. We see, remember, we do what we can. Backwards, forwards, up and down, so.
They disconnected.